Okay, and we are live. ¿Qué tal, amigos? Stuart here from Spain Speaks with another live stream. It is Thursday, the 21st of September, 7:35 p.m., coming to you from the outskirts of Spain's capital, Madrid. And as we normally do, we'll have a look at some of the main news stories that have caught my attention today. Also a story that a viewer sent through, so I'll thank that viewer in due time. Also, we'll go into the comment section, check out what is happening in the comment section, and also into the chat section too in the second half of today's live stream to see what the general chat conversation is. And if you're watching today, say hello. Say hello. Sorry, I should say. Don't be shy. First piece of news, and Spain has agreed with Brussels to scrap plan to impose motorway tolls by 2024. There will be no payment for road use. Although some details are still pending, everything indicates that the European Commission has accepted the Spanish government's proposal to withdraw from the recovery plan the initial idea of introducing payment for the use of motorways, which until now have been free of charge, from 2024, as confirmed to El País by several sources familiar with the negotiations. The elimination of this measure was included in the addendum to the recovery plan, the program of investments and reforms in exchange for more than 140 billion euros in European funds sent to Brussels in June. Addendum, I think that word is. Sorry if I got that wrong. Addendum. So there we go. We thought we were going to have tolls on the currently free motorways here in Spain in 2024, because that's what Brussels were saying. That's what Spain laid out to Brussels in a plan to pay back the money that it owes, given the COVID recovery funds that were pumped into the country. How do you pay the money back? Well, slap tolls on the roads. But of course, that wouldn't be very popular here in Spain with the average motorist, and no government wants to go there. And there are some things that I don't think you can blame the European for, because as I said, I think it was Spain's idea, or at least they put that down in that plan to show to Brussels in order to pay that money back, but apparently scrapped according to El País there. So good news for motorists, but I'm sure that they'll squeeze the money out of us another way. Next piece of news here, the coalition lashes out at Guerra and González. The PSOE accuses them of being disloyal, and Sumar accuses them of being macho for a comment on Yolanda Díaz. The secretary of the organisation of the PSOE, Santos Cerdán, has responded to the criticisms of Felipe González and Alfonso Guerra yesterday by branding them both as disloyal and accusing them of not respecting the majorities in the party or what is approved at its federal congresses. However, socialist sources do not contemplate in any case to raise disciplinary measures and sanctions against them. In statements in the corridors of Congress, the number 3 of the PSOE has revolted against the outbursts of former president and former vice president of the government in the presentation of a book in which they describe Pedro Sánchez as a dissident for negotiating an amnesty with the Catalan independence movement in exchange for his investiture, contradicting himself in a change of opinion compared to what he thought only a few months ago. Likewise, González and Guerra were categorical about the possibility of approving such a concession. We cannot allow ourselves to be blackmailed by anyone. And not least the Catalonian independent politicians. And these are two former politicians here, former Prime Minister or President of the government and his deputy, Mr. Guerra, Alfonso Guerra, I think is his name. And of course, they're probably in their late 70s, early 80s now. And they, one of them, Mr. Guerra, put out a book recently. And of course, the press coverage that is associated with that book. And they're taking their turns at potting Mr. Sánchez, and as we saw there, calling him a dissident for the dealings that are going on behind closed doors with Carles Puigdemont, Spain's number 1 fugitive. And these are not the only two former politicians that are not happy about what's going on, and one was recently removed from the party last week. I think a man called Nicolás Redondo. He was removed from the party because he also doesn't agree with what Mr. Sánchez and company's doing. But what can we say? They are retired politicians entitled to their opinion, but it doesn't seem that the current members of the party are listening to them. And as we also saw there, they criticised Yolanda Diaz, and those comments were labelled as macho or male chauvinist by the Sumar party. Interesting. Another piece of news here, all but 2 Spain players end boycott after profound changes promised. The majority of Spain's top female footballers have ended their boycott of the national team after the government intervened to secure a promise of immediate and profound changes to the Football Federation. Hours later, the Federation announced that it had sacked its Secretary-General, Andreu Camps, while the Federation official told Reuters that between 6 and 9 senior officials, some of them suggested by the players themselves, were set to be fired. Earlier in the day, the Federation rolled out its first measure, an announcement that both its men's and women's national teams would be known as the Spanish national football team. Previously, the men's team had been referred to as the Spanish national football team, while the women's team were the Spanish women's national football team. The Federation's interim president, Pedro Rocha, described it as a step that sought to go beyond symbolism and recognise that football is football no matter who plays it, the Federation said in a statement. So there we go, the players getting their way. Profound changes in this organisation. Of course, Mr. Rubiales was the first head to fall. Now his number 2 has also fallen, and the coach of the winning team also got the flick. Which doesn't happen very often, especially when you win the World Cup. You don't really expect to get sacked, but that's what's happened here in Spain, because obviously the women's football team or the women players are not happy with the overly male structure of that organisation. And of course, this man, Mr. Camps, Andreu Camps, was replaced by, you guessed it, a woman. Nothing wrong with that, but this is the change that they're after. Another piece of news here. This one was sent in earlier today by Christine, and it is that olive oil prices surge, tell us something we don't know, over 100% to record highs, sparking cooking oil thefts. Olive oil prices spiked to fresh records as severe droughts in major producing countries crimp supplies and drive up thefts in cooking oil. Global prices for olive oil surged to $8,900 per tonne in September, driven by extremely dry weather in the Mediterranean, according to a recent report by the US Department of Agriculture. Already, the average price in August was 130% higher compared to the year before and showed no sign of easing, the USDA said. The soaring prices on what's sometimes referred to as liquid gold have led some to steal it. And interestingly enough, when you go into a supermarket here in Spain, and we mentioned this, I think, in videos in previous occasions, that you get security tags now on some bottles, especially the more expensive bottles of olive oil, security tags on that. Now, before, the security tags were on things like bottles of wine, expensive bottles of wine, so that people couldn't steal them. But now, of course, on the liquid gold that is olive oil. And let's be honest, a lot of people here in Spain are changing the way they cook, or at least using less expensive olive oil, because for the extra virgin olive oil, you're paying sometimes around 9-10 euros per litre, which is expensive for the average household, because if my mother-in-law is anything to go by, she goes through olive oil like nothing that I have seen before. You buy a bottle in the morning and it's gone by 4 p.m. Such is her use of olive oil. So if every kitchen is like that one, wow, expensive. Now, into the comment section I'm going to go. The first comment that caught my attention was this one here from Lisa. This is a great little bit of content to add to your repertoire, but I do hope you will continue to keep us abreast of the news. That's why I came to your page in the first place. However, this was very nice too. Enjoy. Yeah, Lisa, thanks for that. Glad you like that new format, the longer form of video that I did the other day, where I walked around a town here in the Madrid community. More of those videos to come. I'm going to get out and about, going to some of the different villages, seeing what life is like in those villages, and hopefully you guys will also enjoy those videos too. don't worry, the news videos are not going to stop. I'm going to keep putting news videos out, most likely in this format, maybe sometimes in the shorter format that I used to do before, but the live stream format I think is one that is easier for me to do, takes up less time because it's a live recording, don't have to edit afterwards. So that's how the news will get out, but don't worry, news videos will still be posted on a regular basis, as with different types of content, travel videos and these ones where I get out and about. I might even go into Castilla-La Mancha and see what some of the villages are like there. Another piece of news here from Michael. Stu, you know me by now. I can be very critical of some of your views, but this video was sensational. The only way that people watching can find out more about the real Spain is to visit places like this themselves. As an experienced peregrino, I have walked through so many towns like this it's hard to remember. Congrats on providing your viewers with a genuine and detailed picture of life in rural Spain. Yeah, rural Spain, of course, but it's only 30 kilometers away from the capital city. And yes, Michael, I have seen that you have been critical of my views in previous times, but everybody is entitled to their views and opinions, in my opinion, and nobody's going to try to force their opinions down anyone's throat, which is the last thing anyone wants to do or should be doing. And as we can see here, the real Spain, when you get out and about, you see what life is like in these towns. You do get some interesting experiences, because where I live here, it's a little bit too close to the city. It's connected with public transport, metro. Therefore, the demographics are completely different. And as I said, 15, 20 kilometers away from where I am here. And I'll go deeper into the Madrid community also, and we'll just check out what life is like at those unusual times of the day, I think. So we'll do some more. Another one here from Paul. Why all the bars on the windows? Well, I guess it's for security. People don't want to pay an alarm company, or maybe they have both. But I think the bars on windows act as a deterrent, and basically every house that you see, the ground floor level, I should say, has bars on the windows. Sometimes the upper levels as well. It depends. And I remember when we first got this home here, one of the first people to knock on the door was the guy wanting to put bars on the windows. So, I think when houses go up, bars go on the windows almost automatically, even though there are other things nowadays that are probably better. For example, these security blinds that when you bring the blinds down, they're very, very difficult to break. There's also stronger glass nowadays that acts as a deterrent as well. But I think the bars are what a lot of people chose in the past, which is why you see them quite often. Another one here from Dakin. It's pretty sad to see this town so run down. There must be very poor people living there. Well, the time that I was out and about, I think it was around 12:30 midday. The majority of people out and about are obviously retired people, people that are not working, and also people that are maybe passing through the village for whatever reason. I don't know. I don't think it was that sad. I think people were doing what they would normally do in a town like this. And yeah, some parts of it were run down. But of course, if you own a home and you don't paint it every now and again, or the outsides, if you don't do renovation works, things get run down pretty quickly. And that's an issue. And one of the things about this town that I went to is that it doesn't have a very good public transport system, and it's not that easy to get to. It's a bit of a drive on windy roads, and that obviously people think twice before going to live there, and it is a lot cheaper than living, for example, where I live here. So whatever you pay for rent here, take off about 250 euros or 300 per month, and that's what you would be paying in a very small town like that with 8,000 people, compared to the 100,000 people that we have here. So not far away, but two completely different worlds. Another one here from Upton. A weird time to expect to find things open during siesta time, ? Yeah, well, obviously you're not familiar with the way Madrid works. Siesta time is probably around 2 to 4, 2:30 to 5. not 12:30 around midday. Things are normally open. Businesses are normally open at that time of the day. Some businesses weren't open the other day for whatever reason. Somebody said that maybe it's the local fiestas in the town. I think they celebrate San Isidro, so I'm not sure what fiestas they're celebrating. But that could be one reason. Maybe they've decided to take the time off. Maybe they've decided to go on holidays. There were some businesses had a sign up in the window saying holidays from the 18th to the 26th or whatever. So that could be one of the reasons. But not siesta time, not siesta time. That's a little bit later, is siesta time. Another one here from user. There are some amazing authentic Spanish restaurants in London, namely Moro, Lura, to name a few. You just have to put your hand in your pocket, Stuart. Yeah, well, the idea is not to have to put your hand in your pocket or deeply in your pocket to get good, authentic Spanish food like you get here in every bar, restaurant, in virtually every place in Spain. And that's what doesn't seem to move to foreign countries. Yes, you can get the expensive cuisine, the top chefs that are opening restaurants in places like London because there's a market for it. But your lower end stuff, right? The stuff that we all like to eat, the patatas bravas, the things like that, the tortilla de patatas, all of those things that are not expensive, basically don't get very good reviews when Spanish people eat that food when they travel abroad. Why they would do that, I don't know. I don't know why a Spanish person would go to a Spanish restaurant in London, for example, but they obviously do. And as I said, a Spanish chef recently, or last year, I think, put out a video series going to some of these places and tasting the shocking food. Check it out. His name's Chicote, Chicote, I think, Chicote. And he's on a station called La Sexta. All of the videos are on the internet, on YouTube. And the final comment here from Rainbow Rising. Rice puddings can be reheated. Rice should be soaked before cooking because it contains arsenic from the environment and tends to soak up more than other cereal grains. The arsenic in rice also tends to be in a more toxic form, apparently. This is the great rice debate. Do you reheat it or not? Do you risk possible food poisoning? Rice pudding, no problem. Reheat all you want. Is there anything better than a good rice pudding? That's the question I'll put out there. But when it comes to other rices, I have seen that I know people that have got sick after eating reheated rice. And the story that I saw the other day was that somebody didn't fare too well after eating a reheated pasta as well. So I don't know if that's an issue with his particular kitchen or fridge conditions, or whether it's a general thing, but I have heard that rice can be a bit dodgy, even though lots of people in the comment section said that it's not the case because they reheat rice all the time. No dramas, but again, probably think twice before doing it. But anyway, that's just from what I've seen over the journey. Now, we're going to go into the chat section, in just a minute. Before I do this, I'm going to change the backdrop. Now, this picture was sent in by Alan, who is a regular viewer down there in El Puerto de Santa Maria, traveling at the moment. Alan is also a patron on Patreon, a valued patron there. And I will say thanks to people that have supported the channel in recent times, whether it's on YouTube, Super Thanks, Super Chat, Buying Me a Coffee, or on Patreon, the longer-term supporters. Thank you very much for that support. Seeing Alan's picture brought that to mind. And this is from a picture from Gibraltar. Alan was in Gibraltar down there in the south of Spain. And apparently it's a picture of Algeciras we can see in the background, which is the big Spanish port. Gibraltar being right next door, and Algeciras, one of the main ports in Spain, where lots of people not only travel to from places like Morocco, but lots of goods coming in as well from all over the world, primarily South America. Lots of goods coming into Algeciras, if you know what I mean. But anyway, we'll move on. Now, thanks, Alan, for sending this one in. Now, the email address is this one here. If you've got a similar picture that you've taken on your travels in Spain, spainspeaks@gmail.com is the email address. News articles like the one Christine sent through before about the expensive olive oil that's making international headlines and international press. So that's the email address. And I'll also put the like icon on the screen. If you haven't hit it yet, please do so. Just below the video, we're up to like number 70. So if you hit the like button, you could be like number 71. Unfortunately, 69 is taken already, but you might be like number 71 if you hit that like button now. Now, into the chat section I'm going to go. The first one here that I can see, let me scroll up to the top. I think there's a couple of super chats here, so I'll check those out when I get to them. Actually, I'll go through them here quickly because I can see them here. So the first one from Stephen, €5.99. Thanks for the daily news. Really enjoyed the video yesterday. Out and about. Cheers. Thank you, Stephen, for that kind contribution to the channel there. $5.99. And there's another one here coming in too from NVN, buying me a coffee. Thank you very much, NVN, for your generosity there, buying me a coffee, which tomorrow I will take you up on that coffee there when I hit a local coffee shop. So thank you very much for that too. Now, let me scroll up to the top. First one that I can see, Andrew. A regular viewer is Andrew, hoping all are well. Gale force winds and torrential rain have destroyed my garden. Sad news. Sorry to hear that, especially if you put in hard work into that garden, destroyed by the force of nature. Gale winds and torrential rain. Sorry to hear it. Pauline also coming in but no, it's not from the UK. Pauline's coming in from Rojales, down in the Valencian community. A warm 28 degrees there. Loved the video also yesterday. So many cars in the town. Do people commute via public transport into Madrid? I would say that the buses are full every day because lots of people would go into Madrid. I imagine that the majority of people that live in that town work in Madrid. The people that are there during the day obviously working in local services and things like that. Not many factories in that city, so I don't think there's any factory workers, but agricultural workers and also people that are working in one of the many bakeries selling those little palmeras de chocolate. But, yeah, lots of cars everywhere. Doesn't matter where you go, there's lots of cars. Erica coming in from Terrassa. Does it dose of rain, I think that is, on Tuesday night, but not enough. Waiting for much needed rain. Hope everyone is fine and enjoying life. Good to see you again, Erica. Mugger coming in from El Campello. Mugger was like number 14, so got in early. Bronny's also coming in from Wales. Torrential rain there too. Hope the garden wasn't destroyed, Bronny. Cool 13 degrees. Well, it was cool here today as well, hence my winter shirt. Only 18 degrees Celsius today, so a bit chilly, I must say. At least compared to the weather that we have had over the last few months. Anthony coming in from still warm Minneapolis. Saw the video yesterday on a Madrid suburb. How easy is it to travel to downtown Madrid by bus or train from there? Well, again, bus wouldn't get you into downtown Madrid. You'd take a bus to one of the well, they're not really bus stations. Yeah, it's strange that because in a lot of places you have a decent bus station, but lots of parts of Madrid there's just like stops on the side of the road where you see 10 buses pull up from all of these towns outside the city, and that's what happens here. So the buses from where I was yesterday would go into a place called Conde de Casal, which is on the outskirts of Madrid, and then if you wanted to get into the center, like let's say Solo Gran Via, you would have to jump on the metro or take another bus, a Madrid regular bus route, to get you in there, because these buses drop you off on the outskirts of the city normally, whether it's Plaza de Castilla, Avenida de America, Conde de Casal, Legazpi, Plaza Elíptica, all of the places around Madrid, these buses drop you off, and then you have to work your way into the city. Moncloa on the other side of the city as well. That's the way the system works. So, yeah, a bit of a public transport journey it would be, Anthony. Ross coming in here from Valencia. 29 degrees there, breezy, beautiful. That's the difference between some parts of the world at the moment. John coming in too. Hope everyone is well. Zach coming in from Los Angeles, California. Renan also coming in from the same place, Los Angeles. The author of today's photo, Alan, showing off his photography skills there with the branches in the foreground for was going to say composition. Desde Puerto de Jerez, desde Puerto Sherry, and Puerto de Santa Maria. So Puerto Sherry, is there a place? Or is it Puerto Jerez? Not sure, Alan. Good to see you. NVN that we saw before. Great thumbnail. Thanks for that. What else? Janet coming in from Oxford in the United Kingdom, home of the famous university, of course. Andrew saying that his garden is a disaster zone. Dee's coming in from the Playa de Oliva. Grant, aka Old Guy Doing Stuff, coming in from Sierra, up there in the north of Spain, where I imagine the weather is changing too. What else? Marianne coming in today. Glad to see and hear you today. Loved the video yesterday too. It was quite a popular video. I can't complain about that. And as I said, more to come. So we'll see if I get some interesting stories to tell from these towns. Jimmy Bones coming in from a rainy Brighton, East Sussex. Listening from the gym today, keeping fit, obviously. Eric is saying that the palmeras of Morata de Tajuña, I was told. Some friends made me try one, and I enjoyed it, although it was too chocolatey for me. I haven't got a very sweet tooth. Well, it is very chocolatey, Erica. The chocolate's about, if you can see that there, about that thick, and the actual pastry part about that thick, and they're only about this big. They're not huge. But they are very, very, very sweet, if you like, with that very heavy coating of chocolate. But there's at least, can't remember how many bakeries I saw that were actually making them and selling them. And then there's another 2 or 3 places that sell them, but I don't think they make them. But the one I went to just basically specializes in that. They had, 90% of the produce were those little palmeras de chocolate. Sani coming in as well from Basingstoke, I think, in the UK. Jonas or Jonas here. Best cities in Andalusia in October from Estocolmo. Probably close to the coast, I would say. You could probably visit Seville, Cordoba also in October and still get decent weather. But coastal I would go. Malaga would be my choice. Almeria would be another one that would be right up there, for me at least. CL Man coming in from Belleville sent me an article the other day, did CL Man, about hydrogen vehicles and the fact that they might be the way forward when it comes to sustainable movement. Patricia coming in from Tenerife, 30 degrees there. Hope all is well. Thank you very much. Jonas also saying, is the Popular Party ruling Madrid? Yes, Jonas, they've ruled Madrid for the whole time that I have been here, the community of Madrid, that is. And also the city, the town hall, is controlled by the PP as well. Madrid is a very PP, Partido Popular city. And Ms. Ayuso is a very, very popular politician at that community level. Now, as I said, the whole time that I've been in Spain, I've only ever seen the one party controlling Madrid, and 2 parties, I think, have controlled the town hall since I've been here. But one party only controlled it for 3 years, and the rest of the time was Partido Popular. So, los madrileños, they like the PP. Gigi coming in from sunny Northern California. Warm there as well. Good to see you, Gigi, in the chat again. Also, a great book Gigi's putting out. When it's published, we'll let everyone know. A very good read indeed. Thanks, Gigi, for that. Not only because I get a mention in the book, so definitely we'll be highlighting that book come publishing time. What else we got going on here? Stephen coming in off to Cordoba next week. I'll send you a picture. Hope you managed to get it on the backdrop. Cheers, Steve. Thanks, Steve. I look forward to that picture of Cordoba, which is, again, one of my, I've got a lot of favorite cities, but my partner's family on the mother's side is from Cordoba. So there is a connection there. Jose Antonio giving us some good news, saying that drought will not be an excuse for oil to be so expensive next year. Oh, so that's good news. Yeah, thanks for that, Jose Antonio. But I'm getting the opposite news coming out of the producers. They reckon it's going to be more expensive next year. Robert coming in from Vancouver. The olive oil theft came in the news in Canada. I've seen olive oil prices here in Vancouver at almost 18 Canadian dollars per litre or so. Wow, that is expensive. Olive oil is $20 per litre in California, plus gas is $7 a gallon. How many litres to a gallon? What is it, 4? So, yeah, still cheaper than here, or roughly on the same level. But I think the States varies a lot when it comes to fuel prices, right? California always seems to be expensive, but some other states it might be 4 or 5, not sure. Ryan saying, hello, Stewie, out of interest, what challenges did you face being a giddy with your partner's family? Well, difficult first 20 years, but the last couple have been okay. Thanks, Ryan. What else we got going on here? Makish, you're always mixing it up, which is great. Good content. Thanks, Makish, for that. Glad you like the content. Riva says La Mancha actually. Yeah, well, the whole of the whole of the Madrid community is technically in between the Castillas, right? So whether it's part of La Mancha or whether the north is part of the old Castillas, they used to call it. Remember when I first came to Spain, I think it was called Castilla la Nueva and Castilla la Vieja, but quote me on that. Don't quote me on that, but let me know if that's correct, Jose Antonio. The old and the new. I think that's what it was called back in the day. I think that's what it was called. What else? Let's have a look. Eddie liked the Menú del Dia videos. Yeah, I might get a few of those out as well, but I'll see. It's a question of time because when you got to go to a restaurant, sit down, record, edit, you're looking at a good 3 or 4 hours for that. And just the meal times. I'm not one of these guys that can really sit down for a long time in a restaurant and have to wait for a menu. But I'll keep it in mind. D saying that yesterday's Mercadona virgin olive oil was 15 euros? Now closer to 25. Wow. Must be, what size bottle is that? Is it like 2 or 3 litres? Not sure. What else we got going on here? Alan's saying that the bars on the windows so people who caught cheating can't escape. Yeah, probably that's also true. Andrew saying the increase of Spanish olive oil prices is by far the greatest in European producers, yet Spain is the largest producer. How come? Supply and demand, I think. The demand in Spain is so great for olive oil that there's obviously price gouging going on. And they have talked about that here in Spain. People can't understand why olive oil in Germany is cheaper than it is here, or olive oil in Ireland is cheaper than it is here. People can't seem to get that into their head, but I think it's got something to do with the huge demand. This is a country where literally everybody, I'm going to say, 100%, but 98% of the population cooks with olive oil. Forget about those other oils. Olive oil is the one. Could you do one of your trips to Cañada Real? Well, actually, tomorrow I'm going to the Cañada Real. I'm not going to record a video because I get the impression that the people that live in the Cañada don't want cameras down their face. But my son plays football literally 100 meters from the Cañada. So I'll be there. So maybe I could film the neighborhood and just next to the Cañada rather than having to go into the Cañada, which for various reasons I don't think a guy with this appearance would do too well. What else? Gail coming in from, and Chris coming in from Javier on the Costa Blanca. Know that it's been used for years, but cooking with olive oil isn't great. Too strong a flavor, although I use it with my roasties, with the roasts. Yeah, again, I suppose it's what you're used to, but as I mentioned, here in Spain, people don't know anything else. If you mention the word butter as something to cook with, and I remember growing up in Australia, my mother, she used to fry steak in butter, if I remember correctly, and then she might have gone on to vegetable oil later, but I remember clearly butter often being fried in the pan, whereas here, if I even mention the word butter with my mother-in-law, I get shown the door. Yeah, a lot cheaper as well. That is true. I mean, a litre of sunflower oil at the moment is around €50. So I can see why people are considering changing. El Conquistador coming in from Jackson, Florida. He's got a wonderful trip to Galicia and various stops in Portugal. Just got back from, is that what it is? I suppose. Good to see you. Lisa coming in from North Norfolk. There in the UK, not to be confused with Norfolk Island off the coast of Australia. Algeciras is Al Jazeera. There we go. Algeciras, Al Jazeera. Thank you very much for that. Andrew saying that the restaurant motto in London has been there to eat wonderful food, but not cheap. Yeah. The name Motto, which is what people from Morocco are commonly called here, Moro, from the Moors from the north of Africa. What else we got going on here? Larry agrees with Felipe Gonzalez about the current position in the PSOE, allowing for a handful of Catalan separatists to hold the government to ransom. Yeah, what a lot of people don't understand is how people with only 6 or 7 seats in the national parliament can hold, such control over the other person. The other person's absolutely desperate to get back into power. That whole party's absolutely desperate, and they're willing to do these negotiations. Pedro Sanchez is going to say, well, look at Catalonia now. It's peaceful. People aren't in the streets. That people aren't rioting. No one's getting put in jail. But, of course, it all comes down to the Constitution and whether you respect it as a document and or you allow people to do basically whatever they want. And if people can see that they can get away with it, they'll do it again. And I think that's also something that is on the table. So I don't know whether it's going to be an illegal referendum next time, because I think that if they do get the amnesty, part of the deal will be a legal referendum. So, but that's just what people in Madrid are saying. And as we know, sometimes we don't get the full picture in Madrid. Bob coming in. Thanks, Bob, for that. Another €20 super chat there. Very generous of you, Bob, and grateful for that support and everybody that has helped support the channel today. Appreciate it. Amy, is that Amy or Arnie? Can't see if that's I think it's Amy coming in there from Calafell, Tarragona. Thanks, Amy, for that. Joy back again. Just caught the live chats. Cooler but sunny in Galicia. Heidi saying that the Palmettos look worth the trip. The town looked a bit unremarkable. Yeah, the town is unremarkable, but people go there to specifically to buy those Palmettos. It's also a popular place for cyclists to end up, and you often see them with the bikes parked outside, hoeing into one of these Palmettos to get their calorie intake up for the ride home, because the road out of that place, one of the roads out of it, wow, I've never seen some steeper hills in my times, that not in the mountains. 1 gallon is about 3.79 litres. I thought it was around that. That's right, 3.7, yeah. So I thought it was around that. That's it, thanks. What else we got going on here? Let's have a look here. Just quickly before I get to the end of the chat. Flutter Girl, Cordoba is a beautiful city, plus I was able to take some lovely art back with me to Canada from Cordoba. It is a nice place, definitely worth a visit, especially at certain times of the year when they have the patios on display with all of the flowers. Leah, still thinking of those chocolate treats that I ate yesterday. I went there on Tuesday. I posted the video yesterday, but yeah, they're tasty. But again, you don't want too many. Gail always cooks steaks in butter. There we go. And that's it. I remember my mother clearly cooking with butter or margarine when that became popular. Olive oil was never mentioned when I grew up back in the 70s and 80s. But it's become a bit of a fad in recent times because of all of the health aspects, or the pro-health aspects that olive oil has. Valencia is the answer to that, although in Madrid you can get good paella as well if you go to a good paella restaurant. but it doesn't really matter. You can get a good one. I think the thing about paella is you want to get it in one of those authentic locations as well, right? I think so. But be careful because there's a lot of places that probably do bad paellas down there as well. Kathy coming in from Playa there, Sheraco there, down there. Tomorrow is the last day of summer. That is true. But apparently we're going to get a Benito de San Miguel, I think we're going to get. An Indian summer. Apparently the temperatures are going to go up at the end of the month, which is going to be good. So we say goodbye. Janet's never heard of the Cañada Real. On the internet says a shanty town with no electricity, lots of drugs. Is that so? Well, that's the reason I'm not going to go in there. But it depends where you go. So there are some parts which are just drug dens. There are places that have no electricity because of the drug growing that was going on there. The electricity company turned off the power supply because people were rampantly growing marijuana in some of the houses, so they turned off the electricity. There's no pavement in some of the streets, so when it rains it turns to mud. And there's a lot of people from Morocco living in, the part where my son plays football. It seems to be very heavily occupied by people from Morocco, judging by the dress that I see people wearing. And there are other parts which are basically that. And it's not just here. It's a very long strip, which is not very wide, but it's very long. And because it falls into this legal vacuum, if you like, there's no legality to it. Nobody seems to take responsibility, and people take advantage of that and just build houses illegally. Sometimes they get knocked over, sometimes they don't. But basically there's no law going on in that place. Well, they have their own laws, of course. And Jen, last one here. I've not seen my greetings today. Hola, desde Valencia. And Joy saying that back in the 70s we paid £1 for a tiny bottle of olive oil. Yeah, back in the day, Joy, everything was cheaper, right? But today with our high inflation and all of the increases that are going on now, not as cheap as it used to be, is it? Not as cheap as it used to be. Well, that's the end of the live stream today. I'm going to wrap it up. Been a pleasure as always. Back again on Sunday with another live stream. Hope to see you there. Hasta luego. Hasta entonces. Buenas noches. And thanks for watching. Bye.